the Sony Alpha 7S Mark III care package. It is high time for an upgrade, my friends, and this camera is an absolute beast. 4K 120 FPS, exceptional low light performance. This thing is perfect for my next ventures. Today is May 16th, 2025. It has been 7 years since my last care package video when I unboxed the Canon EOS ATD, and I remember what an upgrade that was from my camcorder. It all started with this trusty camcorder right here, the Canon Vixia HF-R400, a camcorder that was quite literally collecting dust in its box when I decided to pick it up and use it for my YouTube videos. Then we upgraded to a proper Canon EOS ATD, which I am recording on right now. And then much later, when I start food for thought and I start making shorts content on YouTube, I started using my partner's Fujifilm X-A3, a selfie camera. A camera which does have an interchangeable lens, but is probably not recommended for any sort of professional application. Oh, but you could take selfies with it. And it's pink. Not to mention the colors on this thing are oversaturated for whatever reason. It's strange, it's bizarre, but hey, you take what you can get. And now we move on to the star of the show here. Now this one, I'm actually purchasing for work. My job demands an upgrade. I have passed the training phase and my boss demands that I upgrade my camera. I also purchased a wide variety of peripherals and accessories to sort of assist in my filmmaking process. I really prioritize ease of use and comfort when making my purchasing decisions. The only limitation when I'm out there shooting should be my own skill and not some sort of fault as a result of cheaping out on the camera gear or whatever. Basically, I spared no expense. This is just going to be my general recommendations for camera gear based on the research that I've done. So take it with a grain of salt, and I would recommend, of course, you do your own research as well. I'll put all the Amazon links and timestamps in the description. And yes, without further contemplation or hesitation, let's get right into it. Let's begin with the star of the show, obviously, the A7SIII Body. It was between this one or the FX3. Now the FX3 is interesting because it actually does have the exact same sensor, and there's a lot of debate between the two cameras which one is going to be the better pick. The FX3, yes, it does have the tally lights. It has the 1/4-inch screw holes embedded into the actual camera body so that you don't have to attach a cage. You can rig directly to the camera body. But the big deal breaker for me is that it has no EVF. I find that it's helpful to at least have it on the camera so that if I need to check focus precisely. Also, I have concerns about the weather sealing on the FX3. It has a built-in fan, which is obviously a positive so you can cool the camera, but naturally you need to have an air vent for that fan. So you have this opening that could essentially invite moisture or dust or something else into the camera. And if you plan to shoot outdoors sometimes and weather becomes a concern, the last thing I want to be worrying about is any moisture getting into the camera body. For me, the A7S III checks all the right boxes. Alrighty, next on the showcase, the DJI RS4 Mini Combo Edition. This gimbal I purchased way before I bought my Sony A7S III or any of the other peripherals. This was part of my training phase. I was thinking initially that I would buy the cheap gimbal and then work my way up and stack some cash. And while this is a sufficient gimbal if you are a sort of content creator and you have a lightweight camera, it's not sufficient if you have a beast like an A7S III and you have a heavy lens and oh god, yeah, I wasn't expecting to have this kind of problem. 5-hour battery life, 30-minute fast charging, which is sufficient if you are a beginner. It's also very lightweight, which is nice if you're a novice and you don't really have the arm strength to carry a heavy gimbal for the whole day. Smart tracking module, which I really haven't seen much use out of, but I can definitely see it more useful if you're filming by yourself, for example, if you need to frame a shot. In some circumstances, maybe if you're shooting the bride and groom and you can ask one of them to hold up the hand so the thing starts tracking them, I might be able to get some use out of this thing. Like I said, it's a sufficient gimbal if you are a beginner and you just want to do this stuff as a hobbyist. But as a professional, man, don't get this gimbal. Naturally, this gimbal did not cut it, which is why I decided to lose it and get the RS4 Pro Combo Edition. 12-hour battery life. I'm not sure how fast the charge is. I think it's around 2 hours. Might be less than that. It's a fast charging battery. My main criteria, however, is that this gimbal must be able to hold my A7S III with my largest lens. And on top of that, it needs to be able to support my shotgun mic. Like I said, the gimbal is a lot heavier, and especially when you add all the camera and stuff, it does really start to weigh a lot. But the philosophy I like to apply personally is that you can't make the gimbal lighter, but you can make your arms stronger. So let's go get the gym membership and let's take care of that. But for this one, I'm very satisfied with it. Also, very exciting, you can do car mount on this thing, which is a very nice future proof. Let's move on to my choice of glass for this camera. The first one is going to be the Tamron 28-75 f2.8 Di3 VXD G2. Wow, that is a lot of letters. But man, this thing has exceptional autofocus, which is why I've selected it as my go-to lens. And there's no noticeable focus breathing, which is very nice. It doesn't extend and retract too much when you zoom it in and out, which is very nice if you're working with a gimbal. You don't have to necessarily worry about it going too off balance while you're zooming in and out. 28-75 millimeters is a pretty acceptable focal length range, especially when you're going for a run and gun situation. So this is definitely going to be very helpful. Next, we have the Sigma 16-28 DGDN lens. This is the wide angle lens that I've selected so that I can have my full range of focal length. From the reviews that I watched, there was some concern about some vignetting and lens distortion that happens at around 16 millimeters. But I'm not too concerned about that because I don't think I'm going to go that wide very often. The zooming in and out happens all internally, which is very nice, once again, if you're working with a gimbal. For those reasons, I've decided to play it safe, go with the Sigma. Next, as per request from my boss, I needed at least one prime lens. The Sony FE 35mm f1.8 large aperture prime lens. My boss actually has the Sigma 35 f1.4. Yeah, using that with the gimbal, it's heavy. Very nice and lightweight and just a beautiful prime to have. Sound. Yes, time to talk about the sound solution, aka the shotgun mic. I needed something that was compact but still delivered a pretty good sound. Enter the Sennheiser MKE 400. This shotgun mic actually has the shock mount and the microphone built into the casing. The Sennheiser takes 2 AAA batteries and has a runtime of over 300 hours. Perfect for the run and gun, and most people were praising this thing for being the perfect shotgun mic. The only concern that one reviewer brought up was that it generates a little bit of self noise. It's much more noticeable in a quiet studio environment, but I imagine it shouldn't be that much of an issue when you're shooting an event or you're someplace loud. Lighting solutions. Yeah, so I was focused more on the portability side of things when it came to lighting. It should be something that I can take with me and whip out very easily. So for the first one here, we have the Lume Cube Panel Mini. So this one is a very adorable little soft marshmallow shaped light. This one literally fits in your pocket, so it's very portable, very convenient. You have the diffusing box, which you can take off if you want a more harsh light. If I turn it on here, this is at 100%. And you have an LCD at the back, which tells some very useful information. Next, we have the Zhiyun M40 video light. I decided it doesn't hurt to get another one. And goddamn, this one is a beast. It is very, very wildly bright. Yeah, that one's very bright. The only main concern I heard from some reviewers is that the fan is very, very loud and almost actually defeats the purpose of cranking this thing to 100% anyways. Memory solutions. I've decided to go with the SanDisk 256GB Extreme Pro UHS-II memory cards. It is one of the fastest cards you can buy for this camera with very little limitations. I also bought 2 cards so I can do the simultaneous recording, which on a wedding day is absolutely essential. Lacdo hard drive carrying case for my Seagate hard drive. Always helpful to have a hard drive to back up your footage, especially when you're shooting multiple days. Power solutions. You've got to have a spare set of batteries. For this one, I decided to choose the K&F concept ones. The only consequence is that the A7S III is a very power-hungry camera, so be prepared to change the battery very often. With the triple charger, it's nice because I can have 3 batteries on standby charging, and it also works perfectly fine with the Sony OEM batteries. Also, I didn't forget about Canon. I got some K&F concept rechargeable batteries for that camera too. I still got a 24 megapixel sensor on this camera, so I could easily use it as a B cam for stills or photography. These batteries look very, very similar to the Sony batteries. I would probably end up marking these with some kind of tape to differentiate the two. Next, we have the DJI RS BG70 high capacity battery grip. 29.5 hours of battery life for an RS4. I think 29 for an RS4 Pro. Maybe this is a bit overkill because the battery the gimbal comes with, the BG30, already offers a runtime of 12 hours. There's a couple benefits that come with it. With the longer grip, you can extend your gimbal much further. If you're using it as a tripod, you can stand it up higher. But yeah, I really have to put this thing to the use and see if it was worth it or not. I think it's a little bit too early to pass judgment on this thing. Now, I mentioned before that my Sennheiser takes AAA batteries and that the battery life is exceptional. Despite that fact, I would still like to include the IKEA rechargeable batteries. I don't like the idea of carrying a bunch of batteries around in my camera bag. I much rather prefer like having a set of 4 rechargeable ones that I can cycle back and forth. Rocksolar battery bank. Very helpful to have a power bank that takes not 1 but 2 wall sockets. I bought this thing for hiking long ago, but I decided to include it with my care package. A couple of miscellaneous accessories as well. I have a Neewer hot shoe mount adapter kit. I originally bought it for vertically mounting my shotgun microphone onto my camera while I'm using the gimbal in vertical mode. But I've also actually found use for the 1/4 inch to hot shoe mount adapter to mount a shotgun microphone to a tripod. SmallRig articulating magic arm with a NATO clamp. When I was at my first wedding gig, my boss mounted a light on top of my camera. Naturally, when I'm using a gimbal, mounting more stuff on the camera is not ideal. It would cause balancing issues. So I was looking into solutions on how to mount stuff to my gimbal instead. This effectively takes the weight off of the gimbal motors and I can have a heavy light mounted to it. The K&F Concept 90-inch aluminum tripod. I bought this tripod last year, way before any of my other care package stuff. With the snap locks, it's very clear visually whether it's open or closed. You snap it on, bop, 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 and you're good to go. I got some Apple AirTags, you know, very essential when you're dealing with such expensive gear. Got some screen protectors for my 4 primary devices, 9H tempered glass, and once again another reassurance thing. Now, time to get to the most exciting topic, the camera bag. Which one have I chosen? The camera bag choice is very subjective across filmmakers. Ultimately, it comes down to gut feeling and which camera bag speaks the most to you. And the one that spoke to me the most was the PGYTECH OneMo 2 35 to 45 liter camera bag. It was between this one and the Shimoto Explorer V2. And one reason to go with this one is that the price is a lot more competitive. I don't know about you, but $6 just seems like a lot of money to spend on a camera bag. So why did I choose this bag then? Well, there's a couple features that spoke to me. The PGYTECH OneMo 2 has the same teal interior as the Shimoto Explorer V2. It's a bit easier to see your camera gear when you have a light color to contrast the blacks and the grays. It has a dedicated storage for your gimbal. It has a battery compartment with a slide indicator to show whether a battery is charged or dead, and it even has a secret compartment to slip your AirTag into, which is very nice for security. But the best part of all, and the reason why I chose this pack, is the shoulder bag that comes with it. Yes, this is a 2-in-1. Perfect for a situation where you're shooting for the day and you don't need to bring too much supplies. You can fit your camera in there and maybe 1 or 2 lenses, a couple batteries. It's also helpful if you need to deploy your camera very quickly, where I can just have it behind me and then whenever I need it, I can just whip it out in front. There's also some fast access points both on the top and the side of the camera bag. So if I see an exciting shot and I need to whip out my camera very quickly, I can do exactly that without having to set my camera bag down and completely unpack everything. Now let's take this thing for a test and see what the picture looks like with my Sony A7S III. Boom. Okay, so what you're seeing now is the A7S III with the Tamron 28 to 75 millimeter, and I have the Sennheiser MKE 400 for sound. I also have the Sennheiser's gain set to positive, as well as the camera's internal audio recording level set to 10. But man, look at me. I look good. And that Tamron's keeping me in focus the whole time. Man, what an amazing piece of glass. I fucking love it. Yeah, after seeing the results right in front of me, I can definitely see why this is the go-to professional video camera for 2025. Between the A7S III and the FX3, you're basically neck and neck in terms of features and offerings. Maybe the FX3 has a little bit more, but you're working with the exact same sensor. So now I'll show you what it sounds like without the shotgun microphone attached to it. Let's get it. Okay, so this is what it sounds like without the shotgun microphone. The camera's internal audio recording level is set to 20. Very big difference, as you can probably hear. So yeah, this definitely reinforces my argument on why I think it's a good idea to have a shotgun microphone on your camera. Because man, the built-in microphone just does not cut it. Man, this thing's gonna be sick. It's gonna elevate not just my personal projects, but my professional stuff too. It's gonna be proper. Okay, back to Canon. Now keep in mind that I'm still a novice myself, and so a lot of my choices when it came to camera gear came from a lot of extensive research. Research thoroughly, trust yourself, don't overthink, and you'll make the right choice. As for myself, my life is about to change forever as I transition into this videography career of mine. I'm grateful to have found a mentor who has given me this platform to give me a fighting chance to prove myself. And if you're interested to follow that journey, you can do so on Sahil Saran's cinema. A lot of times in life, opportunities are very scarce, and someone like me that has the potential to grow and become this impressive figure, this videographer, I don't necessarily have the resources to help me get started on that. In other words, I was lacking a mentor, a platform, a starting ground. Here's my philosophy though. Nothing in life is free. I believe that there are possibilities for greatness, but the hard work is no matter what. And with hard work, you're gonna get some sort of payout, whether it's a small payout or a big payout. It's unbelievable, dude. What started out as a sort of hobby that I picked up is now turning into my full-fledged career. I guess I really do care about this stuff on a level that I did not expect before. And I have this sort of God's given talent to create good video. And gratitude to my parents as well. Without their unwavering support, this wouldn't be possible. I normally don't really do candid videos like this. I normally have a script and a structure that I have to have, but for this one specifically, I wanted to have a bit of a heart-to-heart with my audience. I think it's been a minute. It's been such an incredible journey, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for me. But that's about it, guys. I hope you found this video helpful or entertaining, and thanks for watching. My name is Sahil. Until next time.